Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's intraday analysis video, brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, today's date, Wednesday, June 18th, 2014. The markets have just heard from the Federal Reserve, the FOMC policy statement, and we've seen a pretty wild reaction initially. Initially, we popped up, then we sold off. Now we're moving back up. So which way this market is going to go so far, it appears to the upside, but it's important to understand that the markets can really make a move in either direction still towards the end of the day. Literally 10 minutes ago, we got the word, and right now the markets are trailing to the upside. Let's see if that continues. Is that the direction this market decides to really head? That would be the direction that generally we've seen lately, so it probably skews it to that direction. But again, anything can happen on a Fed decision. One thing I want to point out on the charts, if you head up here, see this pivot gap fill right here, this upsloping trend line right in that area, that could be a target to the upside in the short term. If we get through that, look for this level tomorrow. Those are your two major levels on the upside. If we start selling off, this trend line right here is the level to beat right now. Notice how we came into it here, bounced, came into it there, bounced, came into it, kissed it there, hit it there, kissed it here, and so forth. If you zoom out on the charts, this same trend line right here stretches all the way back to these pivots as well, and we kept on hammering on those. So, I mean, it really comes down to that's your downside breakpoint. That is your downside breakpoint. Now we're trying to follow through and see what the upside levels are if we head up there. And again, it looks like the markets are heading up there, at least initially here, after the FOMC statement, the Federal Reserve statement. Now, it's important to recognize here, guys, what was said by the Federal Reserve. Well, first of all, they cut another $10 billion off of QE, but they basically didn't say anything about the inflation, which we saw yesterday. I thought that was interesting. They just ignored it. And I don't know if that'll come back to bite them in the you-know-what later on, but either way, so far the market seems to like it. The Fed still says the recovery in the housing sector remains slow. We all knew that from recent housing data, but there overall seems to be a positive vibe from the markets, which the markets right now, or I should say positive vibe from the Federal Reserve, which the markets right now are enjoying, at least initially as we are trading up. And again, markets are only up 32 cents, 31 cents right now, so it's not a big move yet. Question is, are we in breakout mode right now, headed higher, or again, will this market stalls out? The one thing I would say here, if by chance, as the market's pushing up a little bit more now, up 35, 36 cents, if the markets end today flat to lower, even if they don't sell off big, I would take that as a negative. Flat to lower to me would be a negative. And again, the reasoning behind it is the Fed has been continually juicing this market, and if for some reason one of these announcements doesn't juice the market, people might get scared and start to take some profits. So that's just something to keep in mind as well as we watch this market, which is now trading up about 39 cents. It does appear the markets want to go up, but again, I'm hesitant to really call it because in history we've seen the markets move one way and then reverse the other way. Okay, but again, your upside target short term, what are they on the SPY? First target, 195.60. Second target would be double top up here at 196.05. Those are your two levels to follow right now. All right, let's take a look at the dollar. There's always a wild move on the dollar off of the Federal Reserve announcement. And you can see right here, this is the intraday UUP, which is the ETF that tracks the dollar. Notice the initial down move, then the initial up move. Now we're starting to pull back a little bit. It doesn't look like as big a move as you sometimes get off the FOMC statement, but nonetheless, you are getting some sort of move there. So that's something to keep in mind, and we'll continue to follow that. Gold, let's take a look. Did gold move a little bit here? Yeah, a little bit. Gold's kind of acting like the market, initially popping, then dropping, then popping back up here. So it looks very reminiscent to what you'd expect from the SPY. It's almost following it tick for tick, although maybe a little bit weaker overall. And silver, if we look at silver here, silver having a little bit of a pop as well, although very minor pop at this point in time. Okay, so that's what's going on here. If we go back to the spiders, right now up 45 cents. We just made a new high of the day, and it looks like, again, we're going to head towards this target right here, short term. And the longer the market drags out, like, again, if you're still at 230 and you're still at these highs or higher, that's usually telling us that the overall bias for that point now will be to the upside. Okay? So just keep that in the back of your mind. I think that is important to kind of follow through on and monitor. All right, let's see what else we have going on here, guys. JP Morgan Chase has popped a little bit, although not much, still down a penny on the day. Goldman Sachs is having a good day here. Good breakout on Goldman Sachs to the upside. Let's see what else we have. Qualcomm, how's Qualcomm behaving? Still weak, although popping. You can see almost all these stocks are reacting, which in all fairness would make sense. A reaction off of the move here, considering the markets are ripping higher right now, or at least pushing higher decently. So again, makes sense that the markets would. Facebook, let's take a look at Facebook, up 26 cents. Not a big move there either, but again, sliding to the upside. Apple's always a good one to look at. Interesting how Apple was lower until that announcement. Still lower on the day, but again, beautiful little pop here on the AAPL. All right, let's take a look at some other big names. How's Yahoo doing, which has been pounded the last few days, and sure enough, it is getting a little short-term bounce. So nice little move to the markets, at least on Yahoo, to the upside. And let's take a look at a couple other plays out there. What are some other big market movers? Chevron having a good move at the highs of the day here, up 84 cents. So very nice move on Chevron. And again, Chevron initially dipped on the announcement, just like the market, and then it's now pushing up. So market's very, very kind of reminiscent of every stock out there. It looks like everything's following the market. Nothing's really kind of moving away from how the S&P is moving at this point. And again, the Chevron is continuing to be at the highs of the day. Exxon is basically struggling today. Had a good reversal yesterday, though, so I think that's part of it. And again, you can see that coming back nicely here on the day. All right, trying to see if there's anything else. Let's take a look at Amazon. There's lots to talk about their phone. Amazon initially popped early this morning, then sold off. Now it's actually popping back up. Again, notice the nice pop after the Fed announcement. So it seems like everything's kind of getting a little bit of a catapult to the upside. Let's go to the SPY. SPY is starting to sell off a little bit, but right now this isn't anything that gets my attention. If we came back down here and went negative, that would get my attention on the SPY. Right now, this is just a minor little pull back off of an initial nice pop, especially if you take the low here to the high here. That's actually, let me just calculate that out. So 193.35, we'll call it, to 190. Yeah, basically a dollar pop on the spiders from the low to the high here. So again, that seems to be a very nice pop there on the spiders. And again, we'll continue to follow it. All right, so that is some interesting action here on the spiders. Let's see if we continue to float up. Just taking a look at a couple other things out there that I wanted to pay attention to. Let's take a look at Twitter today. TWTR. Yeah, that's holding pretty well. Continuing to bounce just a little bit, just slightly positive on the day. But again, notice the pop just recently off of the Fed announcement. And one stock that I think is put in a short-term top, Micron Technologies. Notice how it's down on an up day. Beautiful sell-off early in the day here. And now it's barely creeping back up on the big bounce in the markets. So I think Micron, again, if you look at the daily chart, at least for a few days, deserves a good dollar pullback or so off these levels, off these current levels. Maybe back to about $30. I think they announced earnings on Monday, so we'll have to see again how that plays out. But right now, again, beautiful little price action there. All right, guys, don't have much else. I mean, at this point, we're just waiting to see how this day plays out following the Federal Reserve announcement. We're still up about 44, 45 cents on the SPY. If you look at the overall larger picture, what I think is kind of interesting here is that this move down to this move here is slightly bearish, but there's a potential for a negation. Right now, again, one thing I want to point out, take a look at this. So if you take this high here and connect this, you're basically at the current level. See that? And I think this is probably one of the most amazing things you want to pay attention to, is go connect the highs. So do we close above here, or do we stay below? Even though we pierced it, that doesn't matter. It's a matter on a closing basis, and we still have just a couple more seconds left. Looks like we'll close above it. Doesn't mean it's totally breaking if we reverse next candle, but that's a strength sign if we close above it. If we close below, it'd be slightly weaker. And again, notice how, again, the markets are battling with this area right here. Right here. Notice how we're pulling back again. So these type of things, really important to find out about. Have a great afternoon, great evening, guys. Come join us at InTheMoneyStocks.com. Take the 7-day free trial. Party on. Let's make some money. Take care.